Have you ever wondered if the universe is as vast as we imagine it, or if time travel could indeed be a reality? Picture this. A 5 light-years-old boy, named Gus Parker, obtains Sistuno Mixaroba, embarks on a journey through the star-studded galaxies, riding the waves of time and space. This isn't your average childhood adventure, but rather an extraordinary voyage spanning across the cosmos. Gus is the chosen one this millennium, the one to undertake this awe-inspiring journey. His parents, though filled with joy and excitement, are also fugitives from their home planet. They belong to a race of Rigilians, currently in hiding and living in Sundeville, a planet in the year 2023. They bid farewell to their son at the Interplanetary Proton Electric Aerodynamic Launcher, or IPEAI for short, in the heart of Sundeville. Their parting gifts to Gus are a tridimensional circle labeled CTF, a high-tech transversal communicator, and a super-ultrasonic time bomb coated with a sequence passed down through generations of their race, the Gloinses. With these mementos, Gus is prepared for his adventure. As the IP soars out of Sundeville, breaking through the technosphere, Gus gazes upon an infinite universe filled with planets of various shapes, sizes, and compositions. Every sight fuels his imagination, filling his tetradimensional notebook with memories. Suddenly, a premonition of the future strikes Gus. He sees himself fighting against a warrior race of Rigilians. Determined to face his destiny, he heads to the Intergalactic Coliseum to obtain a fighting credential for minors. His journey takes him to Solware, a planet bathed in the light of 7 suns, where the Coliseum is located. Here, Gus lands in the future, in the midst of a long-abandoned amusement park known as Gusware Ballvilson. Checking his CTF, it reads 2031 K Millennium. To summarize, Gus's journey is just beginning. He's seen the wonders of the universe and received a glimpse into his future. He's equipped with tools from his parents and the courage to face the challenges that lie ahead. The future might be filled with battles, but Gus is prepared. This is but the first chapter of Gus Parker obtains Sistuno Mixaroba's extraordinary journey across time and space.
Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be in the middle of an unexpected intergalactic battle? Imagine, a spaceship suddenly appears, launching proton rays in every direction. The target? A young boy named Gus. Exhausted, he knows he can't fight back without replenishing his energy. In lieu of sleep, he meditates, retreating to an imaginary volcano of light in his mind for a few milli-cookies. He emerges, still shaken from the enemy's attack, but ready to fight. He spots his laser ball, a weapon that fits snugly on his finger. He fires it, blinding the enemy ship's crew for 345 mildeflurks. In this moment of chaos, he seizes his chance, escaping in an alternate mini-vehicle to explore the planet for a solution. His search leads him to an interstellar shop, the CBHS SPM, a spot for miners to grab hydrating sonic drinks. He orders a Kartikuk, gulping it down quickly. The drink replenishes his internal mental levels, but there's no time to rest. Nearby, he spots a GE store, a place known for vehicle parts, but disaster strikes. The store is closed, the access road almost destroyed. Undeterred, Gus decides to enter through an underground gas tube, but he'll need a container for the fuel. He heads back to his vehicle, but his energy fails him. He falls unconscious for 17 Kuxilex. When he regains consciousness, he's met with a hybrid creature, the apparent head of the GE store. Despite the creature's rough handling, Gus remains focused. He's teleported to a cell where a robotic voice announces his capture. The creature, the chief, reveals a chilling truth. They are androids, created by Captain Cirque of the Blonyeses, programmed to conquer all races except the Blonyeses. Their aim? To cleanse the universe of all other species and restore the supremacy of the pure Rigilian lineage. The temperature in the cell begins to rise, a clear sign of Gus's impending disintegration. But just then, an image flickers on the central computer screen. A family photo, but who? Gus uses his transversal communicator to capture the image. He then teleports himself to a location where he can verify the people in the photo. The faces are familiar. It's his family. His father, lifeless and disintegrating, lies nearby, a discarded weapon within reach. What will Gus do next? How will he escape his cell? And what will become of his family? The answers lie in the adventures yet to come.
In the aftermath of a fierce battle, Gus Parker, a rugged space explorer, stumbles upon an abandoned weapon. As he picks it up, his eyes are drawn to an inscription etched onto a nearby rock. It reads, "Bloinesque live." What could it mean? His gaze shifts to the eerie scene around him, littered with the lifeless forms of other beings and the occasional automaton. They all shared the same fate, and Gus finds himself alone in the desolation. Suddenly a figure catches his eye. A woman, the same woman from the photograph he had found earlier. Could she be a relative, a family member? The thought stirs a strange sense of recognition in him, but he couldn't place her. She's unresponsive to his calls, and as he nears her, a telepathic connection is forged. It's his mother, her spirit confirming the truth. She shares with him the events of the past 40 Wylands, a torrent of information flooding his mind. But as quickly as the connection had formed, it breaks. His mother's essence dissipates before his eyes, leaving Gus in a state of shock and grief. The sorrow quickly turns to rage, a burning desire for vengeance. His parents' deaths would not be in vain. He decides to confront the android crew of the ship and those responsible for this tragedy. With a roar of fury, he teleports back into the ship. But as he materializes, a barrage of sonic proton rays hurtle towards him. With no other choice, he activates a time bomb in his possession. As the countdown begins, Gus is hit with a wave of nostalgia, and he's transported back to the moment his parents bid him farewell at the start of this journey. The bomb detonates, ripping the ship apart. The android leader barely escapes to another dimension. 2 perks later, Gus finds himself floating inches above the ground, disoriented and confused. Suddenly, a predator ship made of a bizarre mix of ice and lava materializes in his dimension. It fires a volley of rays and a paralyzing gas seeps from the ground, freezing Gus in his tracks. The ship abducts him, and when he regains consciousness, he's encased in a pulsating ionic crystal container. A hyper-explosion rocks the ship 50,000 rooks later, causing a great lunar hyper-eclipse. The heat from the explosion melts Gus's icy prison. He's now a bearded pre-adult, alone again. Suddenly, a cry for help pierces the silence. It's a celestial being, radiant but in agony. Without a second thought, Gus teleports to her location and whisks her away to a nearby ice volcano. In a desperate bid to save her, he cuts himself and lets his healing blood drip onto her. But the sight of his own life essence causes him to faint. Will Gus survive his self-inflicted wound? Will the celestial being recover?
Imagine a future where android armies threaten to conquer the universe, and the fate of everything rests on the shoulders of 2 unlikely heroes. Welcome to the year 3089, a time when Captain Cirque's androids from Bloinesque have nearly wiped out all Regilian races, their power growing with each passing moment. It seems for now, there is little that can be done to halt their progression. Cut to 345 clots later. A young woman, weak but recovering, shares her energy with a man named Gus. He awakens to the familiar face of the girl, and though he cannot remember his past, he recognizes her. She introduces herself as Aurora EricRalf and thanks him with a warm embrace. They sit in silence, communicating telepathically for 28 Corfus. There's much they don't know about each other. Gus doesn't know that Aurora is of the warrior race, Mulkson, and Aurora is unaware that Gus is Glornese. But despite their differences and the occasional disagreements, they grow fond of each other. After 31 millennia and 17 secret plaques, they solidify their union inside a player's ice volcano, living happily and hidden for at least 2022 blurbs. Yet amidst this tense tranquility, questions arise. Can anyone stop Captain Cirque's ever-growing army of androids before they conquer the entire universe? Has Gus Parker's mustache survived? Will I, a common artificial intelligence, continue to narrate this adventure? Has this episode entertained the audience enough to keep them watching until now? Will our future alien advertisers favor this tale? Stay tuned for the answers in the next thrilling episode of Gus Parker Obtains Sistuno Mixa Roba. The adventure continues, created by Rafael Parada Velazquez from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. Copyright 2014.